The people of Africa say that if you go to the end of a tree, they mean the top. You find more branches than a person can count. But if you go to the beginning, they mean the bottom. You find just 2 or 3, and that things are much easier. Nowadays, they say we are at the end, and that there are so many people and so many things that people don't know where to turn to because of the world is full of clutter. But in the beginning, things were simpler. For in the beginning, there was only the earth, and on the earth were just 3 important things. This is the story of Thunder, Elephant, and the Warrior. First, there was an elephant. He was very shiny and black because it was a rather wet world and he lived in a forest as opposed to on a plain. Then there was Thunder. He was much bigger than Elephant. He was black also, but not shiny black like the elephant. Sometimes there were streaks of white about him, the kind of white that you might see striking out of the belly of a fish. He had no shape, but he would change shape from one moment to the next. He was noisy, and sometimes his voice was far away. Then, at last, there was Dorobu. Dorobu was a warrior, and you can still see Dorobu's relatives living in Africa, but you won't see them in the same way that Dorobu was. For things have changed. Now, these 3 things were young and new in those days, and not as brave as they would like to be, or as certain of themselves, and they were rather suspicious of the others. And they very rarely met, as there was so much room to travel. Now, I'm going to hopefully try and play the characters for you in this story, and I want you to try and follow my actions as I tell you the story of Thunder, the Elephant, and the Warrior. This is Thunder. One day, Thunder came to see the elephant, and after he had rumbled and crashed and made lots of noise, he settled into one shape, which soothed him the most. He said to the elephant, "I've come to see you about the warrior." The elephant shifted in his weight delicately from one foot to the other and said nothing, but flapped his ears encouragingly. "This Dorobu," Thunder went on, "is a strange creature, so strange that I am leaving the earth because I am afraid of him." Hello. So, I've got my blue costume on because sometimes the sky turns a dark blue when thunder is coming. Also, I know thunder makes lots of crackles and flashes. I wonder if you could help me decide how to move around like thunder. Remember, in this story, Thunder's very angry and suspicious of everybody, especially Dorobu the warrior. This is Elephant. And the elephant said, "Listen, Thunder, don't go. He seems harmless enough to me." Thunder warned the elephant, "I have watched him when he was sleeping. When Dorobu is asleep and wants to roll over, he simply rolls over. I know, because I was watching him. And when he rolls over, he doesn't wake up. What an ugly, strange creature. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. If I am sleeping and have to roll over, I have to stand myself up, change my position, and lie down again on my other side. The sky, I think, will be a safer home for me. And thunder, went there with all his brothers and sisters. He went straight up and has been up there ever since, far away from the lands of Africa. Elephant heard his grumbling die away. He sucked in his cheeks. It took him 3 days, but finally he at last found Dorobu beneath a tree, asleep, or so he thought. Elephant rolled forwards until he stood right over the sleeping man, and Dorobu lay in the elephant's gigantic shadow. Elephant watched him and thought over about all that the thunder had said. This material is a real African print, and so I thought this would be the most appropriate thing to wear to play the part of warrior, the warrior Dorobu. Dorobu stirred and shivered in his sleep in the shadow of the elephant. He sighed and rolled over and curled himself tighter, but still managed to stay fast asleep, just as Thunder had described. Elephant had never noticed that man could roll over in his sleep. How strange indeed, but not dangerous, he thought. Dorobu opened his eyes and stared up at the elephant and smiled. "You are clever, Elephant," he said. "I didn't hear you come so close. You move so silently." The elephant said nothing back. Dorobu sat up properly and put his arms around his knees to keep him warm. "I'm glad you came," he went on. "I've been waiting to speak to you. Did you know that Thunder and all his family have left us and have gone up to the skies?" "I had heard that he had gone up to the sky," said the elephant. "I heard him up in the sky yesterday. I am glad that he is gone, to be honest, and to tell you the truth. I was afraid of Thunder. He was so big, so loud, so angry, and you never knew where he might pop up next, or in what shape. I like things to be definite. But you, Elephant, you are quite different, so kind and quiet. Just think, Elephant, now the whole world is here for just you and me." "He was noisy," laughed the elephant. "We shall get on well together because we understand each other." "Yes," said the elephant, back over his shoulder. "We understand." "Understand one another." "Very well." The elephant was a good-natured animal, and he didn't want to appear rude to Dorobu. But he had a feeling in his tummy of not trusting everything he said. Dorobu had heard the uncertainty in the elephant's voice, and although he stayed smiling on his face, his eyes were very cold and hard, like wet pebbles. Dorobu slipped into the forest and looked carefully about him, and after a while he saw the tree that he wanted. It was an old tree with very hard, tough wood. He found a branch that was straight enough, and he bent and twisted it until it broke off. He sharpened one end with his teeth, trimming it so that it was ready and sharp. With the branch, he made a bow, and with some other sticks and stones and vines that he had wrapped, he made arrows. And he took his bows and arrows and ran to the edge of the desert and went hunting for the elephant. Elephant was asleep under a fig tree when Dorobu's steps getting nearer woke him up. There was something strange in the way Dorobu was walking towards him, something secret, something unfriendly that the elephant didn't like. And for the first time in his life, the elephant started to feel afraid. He got to his feet as quickly as he could and made off towards the forest. As the elephant ran away from the startled Dorobu, he grasped his bow and arrow firmly and began to follow the elephant. The elephant trumpeted and called for help from the sky. Thunder growled back. "It is useless to ask for help now, elephant. I tried to warn you and you did nothing. You can't tell what man is thinking by what he says. You can only tell by his actions." From that time to this, Dorobu has hunted the elephant, and so have all men that have come after him. And as for the elephant, never forgetting, he hasn't laughed at Dorobu again and has kept as far away from him as he can.